Hey, how you doing? Today I was thinking about Blockbuster. That used to be a huge thing on weekends. Head over there on a Friday. But, they started in 1985 or so down in Texas, I guess with the first store. But by the 90s and into the 2000s, they were huge. I guess at one point they had over 9,000 stores. But they were a household name. You could rent the VHSs first, of course, but then even when the DVDs came out, you could rent the DVDs there too. At one point, they had both on the shelf. They'd have VHSs and DVDs. But that was a pretty impressive wall that they had for the new releases. I mean, it was almost like an entire wall. You could go in there and they probably easily had 50 to 100 copies of the new releases. Well, of course, because that's the big thing everybody was looking for. And they definitely had them. They had that system where they would sit the box cover in front of the box that had the tape in it. So you knew when you were looking in there, if you saw the box cover for the movie you wanted, you were hoping it had the case in the back right behind it that had the actual tape in it. And then, of course, you would just snag that tape and sit the box cover back against the wall of the shelf. And then, like most people, I would end up renting at least two of the movies while I was there. I don't know if I ever went there and just rented one movie. If I did, it was rare because you would make a whole evening out of it. So you're going to watch more than one movie. We would load up in the car and head over there, and everybody on the way would be talking about, oh yeah, this new movie's out. This is going to be good. I hope they got this. And of course, some of the people were going, oh, you know what? I want to see if I can rent that one again. I want to watch that other one again, and get over there and get into the place and check that front wall for the new releases. And then go through the aisles, where they've got the different movies, the comedies, the adventures, all that stuff, the horror movies, especially if it was around Halloween or something. But I wasn't big on horrors other than that. Go through all the aisles, see what they got, see what you might have missed from before. That was a movie you just didn't see, because they didn't just have the most popular movies. They had a lot of movies from all the different eras in time and all the different genres and stuff. So you could usually find two or three movies that you were going to watch that weekend. But it made a lot more sense too, because back then, say even in like 95, you could rent a top hit even for like $3, $4, something like that. Well, the benefit to having the tape player and stuff at home, one, you could take the tape home and watch it in the comfort of your own house. So you're sitting right there in your sofa and you can be drinking your iced tea or whatever you want, while everybody else is watching the same movie on the same TV set. Whereas if you tried to go to a theater, you're going to be paying 4 or 5 times as much for 4 or 5 people. Because usually, even though I would rent a couple of movies, and then we would get through the store and check everything out, figure, okay, these are the movies we want to get. And then you go up toward the counter there. That was the section where they had the popcorn and everything. So you got to have buttered popcorn with your movies on movie night. So even by the time you got a couple of movies and some popcorn and stuff, still maybe 10, $12, something like that. But if you were going to take 4 or 5 people to a theater, you're looking at 40 or $50, not 10, $12. So it was a huge difference, price wise, too. And Blockbuster had plenty of movies. Another thing I remember about them is the drop box. They had that little slot in the wall. So, say you were taking your movies back on a Sunday afternoon. You could just pull over to the curb where the Blockbuster's wall was just, 5, 6 feet away. Have somebody in the car jump out, throw the movies in that slot, and off you go. Of course, you wanted to make sure that you had the tapes rewound, because they always had that sticker on the case too. Be kind, rewind, saying that they had. But if you didn't rewind the tapes, they might also charge you $1 or something for the rewind fee, because the next time you could rent movies, they'd be like, oh, you had $1 fee for a rewind or something like that, But I never took them into the store because it was just so easy to use that drop slot. Worked out fine. Now, when I said about getting 3 movies and getting your popcorn and get to that checkout counter, you also needed this. You had to have the card so that when you got to the counter, they could just scan your card and use a scanner. At a certain point, they just had scanners for everything. The popcorn, the movies, everything. And then pay them at the counter there and off you go. But you didn't want to forget your membership card either. I guess during the 90s especially, and maybe to the mid 2000s, they were huge. And like I said, they had over 9,000 stores or something, different locations. But with Netflix and the whole internet and streaming and stuff like that, by the 2010 or something, when all that stuff started, I think they ended up filing bankruptcy in like 2014, something like that. Or most of them shut down by 2014. They might have filed for bankruptcy in 2010 or something. But that was pretty much the end of those. You don't see Blockbuster on every corner like you used to. I think there still may be one store from what I saw online one time out in Oregon or something. It's more or less just like a keepsake thing. It's not really renting VHS tapes anymore. Not many people have VHS players still today. So, however you get to your movies, whether it's Netflix or whatever service you use for streaming, it's not going to be able to replace going to Blockbuster, searching through there, picking stuff up on a Friday night, and coming home for a movie night. But until the next time, take care of yourself, and I'll see you later.